much to talk about tonight.
Oh yeah.
Look,
Woo.
look. We could go live. We could discuss everything we're going to discuss, and then we can like bounce real quick and go watch the other shows that are on at the same time as this. There's other stuff happening.
Is there though? Is there?
There
really?
is. There's definitely
really.
There is other things happening tonight.
I think we're preempting the preemption.
We're preempting the preemption, he said. Okay. I see what you're saying. Maybe we should start the show, though. What do you think?
Preemption.
With preemption. All right, here we go. Let's roll this thing. Take it away, Andy.
What time is it? What time is it? It's prime time. It's prime time. What time is it? Well, it's prime time. Oh, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls around the internets of the worlds, welcome to Primetime Tuesday night. Primetime is a nerdy, geeky, dorky kind of guitar show, low budget stuff show. And tonight, we're looking forward to having a face-off showdown face-off
Face down.
between GS Mini and the GT, which is short for Grand Theater Shapes. Is that right? I think.
They're kind of short guitars, too.
Short guitars. Welcome to Ryan McMullen. Hey, Ryan, good to see you again, man.
Hey, man.
Mike Venezia. And your host for Prime Time, Mr. Jay Parkin.
And Roger, who just walked by, and it was perfect
Yep.
to end the song with Roger walking by. Anyway, Andy, it's good to see you. Where are you?
Hey, Jay, I'm in the North Woods.
He's in the North Woods. And what is that guitar of choice? What did you choose tonight?
What? I just happen to have a GT with me tonight. Isn't it cute?
That is tight. We're going to talk about the GT in a little bit. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's good. I got this one then.
Okay, I'm glad you got that one because you could have chosen the other one behind you, which is definitely the Academy 12.
That's right. I could, but I didn't want to make it feel bad because, as you know, that's one of my go-tos.
I
So
love that guitar.
Give it a
It's a
little
good
bit.
guitar.
Guitars have feelings.
Ryan McMullen, thank you
Hello.
for tuning in last minute.
Absolutely. Happy to be here as always.
Lindsay, it sounds like she's busy on Tuesday nights lately.
She holding
She
out
is
for more
extremely
money?
busy. She was actually with us last week, making her way to the East Coast. Mike and I were hanging out. We were actually, did we start the show while driving? Was that
No, right
Almost.
before.
yeah?
Right after I just dropped you off and I had just gotten back to where I was staying, and then like, oh, it's 9 o'clock. Here we go.
Here we go. So Mike and I were both on Long Island last week, and we had the treat. It was so rad because we were out there with the man himself, Bob Taylor, and we got some time. We got to take him to the airport. So I could have driven him to the airport, but I figured you know how to get there better than I do. So thanks, Mike, for that.
And it was record time too. It was
That was weird.
unreal.
It should have definitely taken us like 2 hours all together, but it
Like
didn't.
the one time I wanted to actually spend more time in the car because I had Bob Taylor in it.
Yeah.
Was like, well, all right, we're there.
Yeah. Well, Mike, how are you?
I am well, and yourself?
I'm great. We were on the East Coast together last week, and
We
then
were.
you came home
I did.
to San Diego, and then I traveled down to Philadelphia where I met Lindsay, and we captured some other content. I had a chance to go to Russo Music, so I'm repping them and wearing my shirt.
Great
I'm
guys.
wearing a Lakers hat tonight because LeBron is 36 points away from breaking the all-time record, which I'm excited about. I am a basketball fan, even though, what was that? Who broke something?
That
wasn't me.
That was me.
What'd you break?
I didn't break anything except your concentration.
Well, that's true. Okay. Anyway, it's great to see all you guys. Ryan, thanks for jumping in. Lindsay had to do something very important tonight, and we had to let her do it. One day she'll be back on the show, and it'll be really exciting. Behind me, you can't see this right now, but we are very, very, very close to be doing. So last week was a pre-recorded episode, and we actually filmed those in Andy's workshop here on campus. We are very close to be doing these things in person, and we have some special technology where Andy can still join us, but it'll look like he's with us in person, kind of. It'll sound a lot better too. Oh boy. So what I'm saying is finally they gave us budget for this show. Woo. After all this time, they gave us budget, guys. I'm really excited about that.
It's $5, I'll tell you.
Does that
$5
mean we
is
step up our game or now, or we can't say that it's a low budget show anymore? Can we not do that?
It's not that high budget.
It's a good size.
It wasn't. It's a good size increase. You know,
from zero, anything's good. So
yeah, it's now
that
a
is
budget.
True.
It's now a show with a budget.
Right. It started out with a $54. It started out with a $54 a month Zoom budget. Remember when we did this show and it had like we couldn't get rid of the Zoom logo in the bottom of the screen, and then we upgraded to a $25 a month budget to do this thing on StreamYard. But then it still gives us that Zoom pedal effect, which I was thinking, because you know I do have the fart pedal. What if we did make a Zoom pedal and sold it? So like when you played through it, it would just break up.
I think the Zoom pedal company might take offense to that.
Well, Zoom, I know,
talk to your attorney first.
Well, not Zoom. We don't have to call it Zoom, but we could make it something like
Zoom. Z-U with an umlaut M. Zoom.
Zoom. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. You know the deal. Let's keep the nerd and guitar nerd and keep the feed clean over here. It is so wonderful to see you guys. Thanks for joining in last week. Man, there were a lot of you who joined in. We were in the comments hanging out with you guys. Mike and I at least were, and having a good time. That was an awesome show with Jason Scherner from Telefunken. I hope you are as excited as we are about the Blues Traveler acoustic record that we talked about last week. It was really exciting, but this week we're going to get down to business and bring this back to guitars. We've had a lot of artists on lately and special guests, but we just wanted to get to this one. I thought was very, important. A lot of people ask us the question, why did you guys make a GT? Right? You already had a GS Mini. Why couldn't we just get an all gloss GS Mini? Why couldn't we get a solid wood GS Mini? And we've heard Andy and Bob answer those questions in the past, right? Like the geometry just isn't right, or it's just not the right, I don't know. We've heard it all. We've tried as much as we can to make this guitar, the GS Mini, the best thing possible. But Andy really wanted to make a GT. So today we're going to do one of our face-offs or showdowns, or what do we call it again?
I don't know. I've never known.
I'm kind of confused
either
now,
way.
frankly.
Versus.
We could blame it on our writers just a little bit, because let's just blame it on those guys.
Yeah, thought that was you, man.
Yeah, they wrote it. I didn't do anything.
Blame the producer. Oh wait.
Yeah, I'm like, hey, can you guys help write words? Because it's hard for me to write words. And so they wrote the words, and this is what came out. So today, let's call it a face-off. That's what we do. We're calling this a face-off, okay? So welcome back, Ryan. Welcome back, Mike. It's always good to see you. Andy, it's always great to have you on camera with us. We are going to have Evan's question at the end of the show. If you're new to the show, Evan's question is trivia, and we give away a prize. Yes, we're going to give a little fun pack of stuff, including a hat and a t-shirt. So I'm really excited about that. So, hey, Andy, do you have a song for what are you listening to, or are we just going to go into it?
Well, I can do a song if you want.
Do you want to do a song?
I would love to do a song.
Yes. Andy's going to do a song real quick, ladies and gentlemen.
Did you sing in the shower? Was it all about power? Was it delicate and slow? Or was it heavy and low? What are you listening to? What did you listen to?
Yes. Well, then, if you did it, let's give Ryan. Ryan, what have you been listening to lately?
Last week I spent a good deal of time on the road and was a lot of windshield time.
Look at this. This
And,
is funny. Philip. Yeah.
Good point.
Martin all day and night. Check this one out. Martin all day and night.
Wow.
Well,
Hey.
he's got the morning and evening covered, but for your afternoons and late nights, Taylor.
Taylor. There you go.
We got you. Welcome to the show, man. We really appreciate you hanging out with us. If it's your first time, we love Martin too. Okay.
True.
Sorry about that, Ryan.
No worries. So I was saying I had a lot of road time, so I was listening to a lot of music. Billy Strings, man, picked that up and have become a very big fan in a very short amount of time. That guy just absolutely tears it up, and it was a pleasure to listen to a lot of his music while I was doing the windshield time. Ironically, at the same time, based on a coworker, Mark Vargas's recommendation and playlist. Very similar to Billy Strings, I was listening to the Melvins. So, they really fit in the same areas. But a lot of the Melvins last week, but more Billy Strings, really enjoying the Billy Strings.
Dude. You just said
There's a
Melvin.
cool Billy Strings show that was taped during the pandemic at Red Rocks in an empty Red Rocks. Because nobody could go, obviously. So but they're playing and there's drone shots from the whole above and showing the beautiful scenes at nighttime. It's pretty wild to like see those guys be just raging a jam and then it ends and there's like
nobody, literally crickets.
There's 15 people that are like 300 yards away going. But the show,
I'm going to check that out. That's great.
It's like 3.5 hours long. It's awesome.
Billy Strings is amazing. I think he's playing here at open air, maybe.
Yeah, in May.
I
believe. Yeah.
Oh, wildly talented man.
Whew. Yeah, and then that's it. I mean, it's just really great, entertaining stuff, and highly recommend it if you haven't checked it out.
Wildly entertaining, Billy Strings. All right, Mike V, what have you been listening to?
Well, you know me. I always have the duality, the diametrically opposed bands. Rush, yes, but that's always. So that's sort of like hey, I've been listening to Rush. It's like, hey, I woke up and breathed air. It's very similar. But again, being out last week, being on the road, having that windshield time, I was really absorbing a ton of Steely Dan. Because I've been, there's a company called UHQR that's re-releasing like their first 8 albums in this super, high def format on LP and, half speed masters and all this nerdery. And they sound amazing on vinyl. They always did, but I mean, couple that with the process by which they are pressing these vinyl, you're getting pretty much directly from master onto vinyl. It's you can hear the tip of the stick in Dirty Work from Can't Buy a Thrill, like hitting the hi-hat. It's so clear. And so just absorbing a lot of that. And just the musicianship from Steely Dan is absolutely outstanding. We all know this. These are some of the best studio and touring musicians around that played with them. And then on the other side, a lot of Def Leppard. So,
What?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's no different than Billy Strings to the Melvins.
That's fine.
Hey, we're not judging here. We're not judging here.
We're not judging. So, are you a fan of Steve Albini at all?
Yeah, he's great.
All right. Did you see the article that dropped yesterday about the reasons why Steve Albini hates Steely Dan?
No.
Oh, it's so good. But I'll send it to you. And then it was posted on some social channel, probably Instagram or something like that. And it's just like Steve Albini then listing in the comments every single reason why.
Is it because like they took more than one take and it's not raw enough for me? And
Who cares? It's Steve Albini and he's amazing. So it's like,
yes, he is.
Take it with a grain of salt, right? He's also a GP player, right? Not GT, GP. They've got at Electrical Audio, they've got a couple of Grand Pacifics over there, and he's a fan. So he's but it's Steve Albini, you know. I
producer.
saw a very interesting experience with Steve Albini where there was I was with an artist at Electrical Audio, and there was an intern that was trying to wind the tape machine, like run the tape, and you could tell he was struggling with it, this intern. And all of a sudden Albini like kicks open the door with his jumpsuit that he usually wears, right, tied around his waist. He has a cup of coffee in his hand. He puts it down and he's like, and then storms out. You can hear him kind of go, idiot, as he walks out. I mean, Albini is just Albini. Anyway, sorry about that. That's great, Mike. Steely Dan's fantastic. Lund, what are you listening to?
I'm going to take it a completely different direction. I went out for a little bit of a walk today trying to score some vitamin D. And
in the North Woods? Was there
North Woods? I was
sun?
There was some sun. Yes,
is that a euphemism? Like
You have to go looking for it up in the North Woods, right?
Well, you know, it's the winter time. But I was listening to Claude Debussy today, and I love Claude Debussy music. And there's a compilation that was released in 1994 by a French pianist named Pascal Roger. I don't want to. I'm going to butcher his last name. It's Roge with the little thing above the E.
Roger.
38 tracks, 2.5 hours of Debussy music, and I just can get lost in that stuff. Love it. So that's what I was listening to. Nothing to do with guitars, Jay.
Nothing to
Can I
do with
still
guitars.
stay on the show? Okay.
That's fine. Well, I can tell you what I've been listening to. So while we were in Philly, we filmed some secret stuff with a secret band. So I won't tell you that part. But we also filmed at Russo Music, which was really great, with Ben Walsh from the band Tiger's Jaw. But Tiger's Jaw has this weird lineage, and a lot of there's been some recycled members from time to time, but their drummer Teddy is from Michigan, and I did not know that. I never knew that. So I'm lived a long time in Michigan, so I had some exciting news when I heard that Teddy's from Michigan, and then I find out that he does this project called Teddy. Hold on. I just want to make sure that I'm getting it right. It's Teddy Roberts and the Mouths, and it's kind of an interesting kind of alt country vibe, but unbelievably, there's a couple of other musicians in the band who are like emo or like screamo superstars, right? They're all in other bands that are relatively famous in that world. And one of them is like the most wicked pedal steel player I've ever heard. And the other one is this wicked banjo player. So Teddy Roberts and the Mouths. It's really fantastic. You guys should check it out.
Cool.
Okay,
Cool.
that
Thank
means
you.
we have to do a show now. Now that we've talked about music, we got a bunch of people who want to learn about these instruments. So you guys, you know how this works. Actually, I believe the last one of these face-offs, showdowns that we did was with you, Ryan, right? We did.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
The nylon string showdown.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so you guys know how this works, right? Here's the deal. We're going to play some clips. We're going to talk. We're going to set up these guitars. We're going to play some clips, and then we're going to talk about it. And at the end, we're kind of just going to give our 2 cents. This is a good opportunity for you guys to hear different model guitars back to back with some really good playing from our buddy and just excellent player, Danielle. He's fantastic. You guys have seen him on these videos before. But as you know, we like to set these guitars up. We like to talk about them first. So you know what time it is, ladies and gentlemen. For the first time this year, we are going to be feeding the ducks. And if you haven't experienced this before, you better get ready. So
Oh yeah.
the first part of this showdown, they're not all gonna face off. It's gonna be a GS Mini-e Koa versus a K21. So Koa GT, Koa GS Mini. And then after that, we're gonna do the GS Mini-e Rosewood versus the 811. That's how we're gonna do it. So it's gonna be different tone wood pairings. All right, you guys ready for this? I'm really excited. Hey, Mike.
Oh yeah.
Are you ready to read all the award-winning information about the GS Mini-e Koa?
I'm ready to feed the ducks.
All right, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We're feeding the ducks.
Yeah. The award-winning GS. Oh wait, no,
He's
I'm not supposed to rap
rapping.
it. Sorry,
Can't wrap it.
maybe a little less ducks.
All right, you need a little less ducks. Hold on, I'll get
A
over
little
here.
less duck. That's a superfluous amount of ducks being fed.
All right, I lowered the ducks.
Superfluous
there you
Ducks is my new band.
They're
All right.
great. They had a whole bunch of great songs.
All right.
The award-winning GS Mini was designed to be the ultimate musical companion wherever you go or stay. Inspired by the big, bold sound of Taylor's GS body shape, the Mini scales things down without skimping on sound, packing a ton of tone into a comfortable travel size and giving you a guitar that's full-voiced and incredibly fun to play. Think of the Mini as a modern-day parlor guitar, perfect for playing around the house, but also built to fit an active lifestyle.
Well done. Yeah.
Ah, that was good, Mike. You did a really good job. All right, Ryan. You want to talk about the
I'll take the K21.
You want to take the K21? Okay. We'll take the K21 real quick, ladies and
Here we go.
gentlemen. We're gonna feed some more ducks.
Cue the ducks. The K21E is a treat in both sound and style for players seeking a fun, spontaneous guitar that can go anywhere. The GT is sized between the GS Mini and the Grand Concert body. And with an all-solid wood Hawaiian Koa back, sides, and top, this model boasts a vibrant tone with clear highs, a punchy mid-range, and surprising low-end power thanks to C-class bracing. The shorter scale makes for an inviting feel and a relaxed fretting experience, baby.
Wow. Nice.
Feeding the ducks is so great. You guys did just an awesome job. I appreciate you feeding the ducks.
Hey,
So-
Jay.
I love the comment we got. What the heck is this melancholic beat?
When Jason's hooking you up with that new audio rig, do you think he can get you a disco ball too for your space there, so we can just? That would
I
be
don't know.
cool.
It's a
Just
really
bring it
good.
down. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a really good question. He's here actually doing some stuff. Jason, what do you think about a disco ball?
I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, he's excited. He's
Okay.
excited. We're gonna get a disco ball in here. That's fantastic. I'm really excited about that. Okay, here's how we're gonna do this. We're gonna start with the Koa Showdown, and then we'll go to the Rosewood Spruce Showdown in a minute. So first things first, I am going to play a strumming clip. So we're gonna play a strumming clip, talk about it, play another strumming clip of the K21, talk about it, and then we'll do a finger style playthrough where both guitars are back to back. Ready? Let me find it somewhere in here. I know I set. Here we go. Ready? Here we go. We're going to start with the GS Mini-e Koa strumming. All right. Let's go to you, Lund. What do you hear in that guitar? What do you like about it? What don't you like about it? Tell us all your feelings.
I hear a lot of attack from his pick. That is not good. I mean, I like it. It's fine. I wish we could hear them both next to one another instead of space in between them. Then I think it'd be easy to make comments. But I'll talk to the producer about that next time we do the face-off showdown.
I was handed the content.
Stay on
It was
script, Andy.
sep-
Come on.
It was separate. It
I
was
like
separate.
I think that's a good. I know what I'm gonna say later when I hear the other one. I think.
All right.
but
You want-
that sounded like a. I liked that sound. I think that GS Mini is just such a great guitar all around. We've made hundreds of thousands of those guitars, and they're all super.
Over 450,000 to be
Yep.
exact, right? That's how
That's
many
right.
we've sold at least. All right, all right. Well, if that's the case, you guys, you want to vote on this one? You want me to play the other clip? Okay, I'll play the other clip.
Yeah.
You didn't even say anything. I just said I'll play the other clip.
Thanks,
All right,
Chip.
ladies and
You're
gentlemen,
in charge. Do it.
here's the K21E. Okay, now go, Andy.
Okay, so that guitar to me sounds a lot more resonant than the first one. It has much more depth to the sound. The sound is much more complex, and I think that that's obviously that's because we're talking about a solid wood guitar against a layered wood guitar, right? But the other thing that I believe happens in this case is that the gloss on that guitar changes the way the high end reacts, and it kind of dampens the whole sound and makes it a little bit darker. So that, to me, that's why I could hear that, like, still that what I mentioned first, the attack on the first guitar sounds different than the attack on the second guitar. It's brighter. The downbeat is brighter. That's what I hear.
That is what you hear. Ryan, what do you hear?
Well, I'm very happy to be here, and Andy said everything that I was going to say. So, no, when the GT or the K21E came on, it really is about that low end that came through. The edges are not as sharp, I guess, as the GS Mini. Now, the GS Mini does have that clarity. It has the attack and volume for its size and what it does. I think that there is a bit more articulation and range in the K21 because of the solid wood. And as Andy said, because of the gloss finish, there is just this warmth to it. And again, the low end was really coming through for me.
Fantastic. Mike?
It's doing a back-to-back like this is, I'm going to say it's slightly unfair in a way. But it's
now
necessary.
He's saying it's unfair. You're saying it. Okay.
But it's no. I'm not saying that we shouldn't play them back to back. I'm talking this kind of comparison, comparing, these guitars and these very disparate price points. And there's a reason why they're very disparate price points. Okay. Yeah. And I'm sure everybody heard that. The GS Mini-e Koa, if you just heard that alone in a room, you'd be like, yes, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
I really like the way that sounds.
Totally.
Hearing it next to the K21E, you're like, I really like this one. This one, the K21E immediately for me was just the warmth was there. A low mid was present there. That's not present in the GS Mini, in the GS Mini-e Koa. They take them both in stereo. Sure, why not? I'll do that too. But the C-class bracing and the solid wood construction of the K21E really allows it to come alive and vibrate more. Where the Koa presence is there in the GS Mini-e Koa, but it's really like 2D versus 3D. Or, just like standard HD versus 4K or 8K, in video terms. That's the way that I'm receiving it. They're both great, like the GS Mini-e Koa, and I know we use this term a lot, and it's kind of a shame to say it's great for what it is, because it's a lot in a very small package. But the K21E is just that much more. And I really dig the depth of that guitar and the playability of it overall.
So now is a good time for me to let you know why we made this content. We made this content because we get this question a lot. A lot. What's the difference? Why does this one cost so much more? Why is this, does it make that big of a deal? Is there that big of a difference because it's all solid wood, or because of the geometry, or because of the bracing pattern? Yes.
This is a great example. It really it does show it off when you put them side by side.
So it totally agree down here. Sam wrote, I agree with Mike. right? It's like comparing Kia to a Ferrari, right? Absolutely. You are 100% right. Apples and oranges for sure. I don't know if I would call a GS Mini a Kia either.
Bring up Jason Ford's comment though.
This one?
Yeah, sorry, but a GS Mini is much better than a Kia.
It'll last a lot longer.
Hey,
Yeah,
no
doubt.
a huge fan of the GS Mini. I tell everyone should have a GS Mini. It's so functional and so useful and so versatile. But I think this is highlighting why we went in this direction, why Andy Powers pushed forward with the Grand Theater, and it's really it's the articulation there.
Yeah, totally. I agree with that. So that all being said, I would love to just do the fingerstyle playthrough. It's back to back, right? One right after another, so that you can really see and feel and hear the difference in these instruments. Oh, I gotta find it though. Didn't I say that the last time? I found it. All right, here we go. Ready?
You said that too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Andy, go. I know you have an opinion.
Yeah, you know what I was thinking though. I mean, I think we're all going to say the same exact stuff. To be honest with you, like the depth of that guitar it's just wider, it's bigger. It's more. There's more to dive into. There's more to listen to. But what I was first thinking about when he played the GS Mini was that sound there will sit in the track just fine, and it doesn't have to take up all the space that the all solid wood guitar can. And sometimes, we're lucky to be able to talk about stuff like this, because when you think about trying to find the perfect guitar for the right part of the song, but that right there, substituting just guitars takes the engineers like, I don't need to change anything with EQ or anything. I'm just going to use a different guitar and a different microphone, and it's going to sit in a different spot. Or doubling those two guitars, like if he were to play both of those parts together, one left, one right, that would be a really spectacular sound, and they wouldn't get in each other's way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there are definite tools in the toolbox, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I just spent, a few days last week in Philly at Will Yip's studio. Will Yip is a producer. It actually had this moment, because this Sunday evening was the Grammy Awards, and I said, "You're not going to the Grammys this year?" And he kind of rolled. He was like, "Yeah, I was just nominated for one this year. I felt like I didn't need to be there." Okay. That being said, this is one of his things. He has many arrows in his quiver, right? That Koa GS Mini records fantastic, and it sits in a spot that you need, right? I might even see with the GT that I might find some frequencies if I'm recording it, or maybe I'll record in it as just like we heard it, right? Pretty dry, right? But I could hear some EQ that I would roll off some frequencies just to kind of make it fit. And the GS Mini kind of would fit maybe even a little better for my ears.
Mm-hmm.
However, I agree with you 100%. That GT, someone said here, where is it? I saw it right here. This is creating GT gas. Yeah. And that is one of the reasons we did this. We did this because we've had this question, and it's fun to do this kind of stuff. So, Ryan, how do you feel about it?
Well, I mean, I think we're all going to, as Andy said, agree with each other. And you said it there with the GS Mini, just to highlight the fact that it's just a versatile guitar, a paintbrush for your painting that you're going to be making. And there isn't a bad reason to have it. Everyone can bring that guitar home. When you then bring in the K21, it's rich, it's full, it's that it's just a luscious sound, and you can hear the range in the microphone, and so you get more of what you're looking for in a solid wood guitar with the appointments and with the time put into the bracing, and next to each other they're very clear. Apples and oranges. I like both apples and oranges. I don't think that the one is better than the other. We're not talking necessarily Ford or Chevy here, right? And so I think the point should be taken that there is a lot of it provides you even more choices as you're recording for sound.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, totally. Mike.
When it comes to recording, there's, the saying goes, what's there is there. You can't add things after the fact. It's there. You can't really remove things. That's why, most people record dry. You don't record with reverb usually. You don't record with delay usually. You add those things after the fact. But also when it comes to frequency, if there's too much bass in a recording, removing it is hard. It's easier to remove maybe a shrill treble and roll that off than rolling off a too muddy of a bass or what have you. Now, not saying that either one of those were muddy per se, but kind of like what Andy said, I like the idea of recording both, one on one side, one on the other, to kind of get that blended sound. Because if you have too many layers, if you're doing multi-layer tracking of something that may have more bass on the low end, well, that might add up to be too much. Or maybe not enough treble. You can't add something that isn't there. You can't push it, but you can roll off the treble. So, I think they both have their spot. I record with GS Minis all the time.
Yeah, they're great.
They sound absolutely fantastic. If I need a little extra low end, I'll grab a Grand Auditorium or a Grand Theater or something else that I have to fill in the blanks. But generally speaking, like you said, Jay, you don't need to tweak it that much. It kind of fits and it's right there. And it's great for that kind of thing. With all that said, the GT just gives you more of everything.
Yeah.
And it's just rounder, like a more well-rounded sound overall that'll just mature more and more and more with time. Not that the GS Mini-e Koa won't. The GT is going to do it far more because of what the whole solid wood construction and the way it'll resonate and what have you. So, they both have their spot. They're just for different reasons.
Yeah, it's interesting. That's all very well said. You see Andy's rig behind him, right? And Mike's rig is probably in front of him, and my rig is at a different studio in Kensington by Ryan's house. So it's different. I was walking through our good friend Sergio, right? He's getting into creating some electronic music, and I have a history with that. And so I was walking him through recording some drum samples, and that thing where you use 2 tracks. The first thing I said to him, I was like, "This is a great job. Do you want me to help you manipulate this a little?" He was looking for a very 80s drum sound. So I said, double the track, hard pan, right? Manipulate only one side, right? Or if it was a stereo track, and then automate the volume up and make them meet in the middle. And he was like, that was genius. Right. So it's the same thing with the guitar. I would use both of those guitars. And then I read something over here. Phil said Martin is much muddier. Muddy is an interesting term, right? A really good HD28 is amazing when you hear it. But often the first thing you do is roll off the low end when you're recording it, because it is pretty boomy, right? So I love that idea that Andy has. Record them both, which means you need them both. But the price spectrum, I saw another question up there that said, what's the best, which one more value for the dollar? Well, the GS Mini-e Koa is far less expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're looking at value, the GS Mini, it is that guitar that every single guitar player on the planet needs.
Yeah. The Koa GTs, I mean, that's like a dream guitar. That's a lifelong guitar. That's an expensive guitar. It'll get better as it gets older. It's solid.
I was just going to say that too, Andy. You're going to see more relation with time.
Leagues. Yeah. And, Jay, I think one thing that we I don't know if you wanted to get into this later or not, but we're also comparing different body sizes and different scale lengths too, right? So since the GT is still a new shape for us, just for the knowledge of our listeners, the scale length is in between. It's larger, it's longer than a GS Mini, but it's shorter than our Grand Concert model, right? So it falls in between the two. And part of the appeal of GT is the way that it feels, I think. And an easy way for people to maybe understand what that is like is that if it kind of feels like if you take your regular favorite full-size guitar, if you tune it down a half step and you put a capo at the first fret, that's kind of the scale length. That's what a GT feels like. So it's a different experience. When you play a GS Mini, it's actually the action is a little stiffer.
Yeah.
Than on a GT. You can actually hit a GS Mini harder. So all of these things come into play, not only just the sound, but it's also the experience, I think.
Hey, there's some I want to walk back on this Kia trash talk just a little. Gabriel O'Brien just recently got a Kia, and it was a fantastic vehicle. I spent some time in it this weekend.
That's good.
This past week. So I'm just letting you know that let's be nice to Kia.
Yeah,
doing a good job over there. He said when I saw him in Detroit, and I saw his car, and it's that kind of muted gray color, and he goes, "You like how I got the official color of the Ohio skies in the winter for my vehicle?" Pretty funny. All right, this is fantastic. These shows are great. So let's just dive right into the next set of guitars. Let's go Spruce and Rosewood. How's that? I think I have to walk the ducks.
More
right now.
ducks.
More ducks. Bring out the ducks.
Hold on. Let me get there. Where is it? Did I do this before? I did. Ducks. All right. I have to produce a show by myself tonight. Can you tell? All right. Here we go. We're going to walk the ducks real quick. Ready? Ladies and gentlemen, the GS Mini Rosewood.
Wait, we're walking the ducks now? We're not feeding them
Feeding
anymore?
the ducks. Oh, yeah. It's feeding the ducks. It's feeding the ducks. Walk the ducks.
I like walking better.
You know, time out.
Walking the duck sounds is a better.
Sounds very Chuck Berry.
I got a neighbor who does like a rover, house sits dogs and stuff. And this one time, my wife hit me up. I was at work, and she sends me this photo, and she says, "This is happening right now." And it was our neighbor who watches dogs, was watching a tortoise, and the tortoise was massive, and there was a leash around the tortoise, and she was walking the tortoise. So maybe that's where my mind went. Walking the ducks? No? All right. Forgive me. Let's feed the ducks. Oh yeah. GS Mini-e Rosewood. GS Mini-e Rosewood has become the standard bearer. I like that. Who wrote that, Jim? Yeah. All right. GS Mini Rosewood has become the standard bearer among GS Mini family, boasting a solid spruce top and layered Indian rosewood back and sides. The GS Mini-e Rosewood also includes built-in ESP pickup and an easy-to-read digital tuner. Who wrote this? This is great. Perfect for fireside jams, practice sessions, songwriting, playing along to when your wife is yelling at you, and playing with other musicians.
Yeah.
Feeding the ducks.
Oh, yeah. Tuners.
I hate those hard to read tuners, man.
Hard to read tuners are a bummer.
Those. Those are a drag.
They are hard to read. All right, Andy, it's your turn. Ready? 811E. Here we go. Andy. Andy's got the best voice of all of us, so let's do this. Ready? Here you go. Feed the ducks.
Made in America with Indian rosewood back and sides, plus a citrus spruce top. The GT811 adds superstar tonewood combination to the GT family, serving up warm lows, clean trebles, and a slight scoop in the mid-range. Perfect for playing with vocals and other musicians. Inside our C-Class bracing adds more volume and sustain to give the smaller model a full-size sonic punch. Appointed with elegant details, such as an abalone rosette and element fretboard inlays. The GP811 also includes ES2 electronics and ships with a lightweight, super durable barrel
Case.
Oh gosh, guys, this is so... Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, if you're new,
I can't read that with a straight face. Man.
If you're new to the show, this is what happens. Okay, we're guitar nerds.
Element inlays.
Element inlay.
We're guitar nerds. Okay, nerds. This is what happens when a bunch of nerds. Andy wins. My mom voted. Wait. My mom. Andy wins. 100%. We knew this, Mom.
I want to work on my Christopher Walken and do it in that voice next time. That'd be the way to do it.
Oh man.
You know, Andy, it's made in America with Indian rosewood.
It's a car. It's pro stop.
Play with other people.
Price. Okay.
C class.
I put my pants on one leg at a time. Okay. Whew. Here we go. That was fantastic. Mom, I got to turn this to hide this comment. Okay, there we go. More cowbell. That is right. We need more cowbell. All right, so you guys know we're going to do the same thing. We're going to play the GS Mini, and we'll do them back to back with a little pause in the middle because I got to switch videos, and then we'll talk about it. So we're going to start with the GS Mini-e Rosewood, and here we go. Maybe. All right, Mike, your turn.
That was a far more violent difference. Just from first impressions.
Violent?
Well, like as far as the
Like
width
cage?
of difference between the two. Not like cage match fighting or anything.
There was
like
no
that.
anger in that. It was
Not anger. I'm not saying it was.
Angry.
You know what? Why don't you go walk a duck, Ryan?
Okay, check this
I was
out.
feeding the duck.
Check this out. Anger. Metallica put out a song called Saint Anger, but forever my brother and I read it as Stanger.
And I agree with that.
Okay, go.
I support that.
Yeah, I don't support the snare drum sound though. Yeah. Anyway, obviously the 811E has a ton more depth in comparison. The funny thing was the GS Mini Rosewood was a bit more balanced than the Koa. That's what I heard. It was a bit more balanced overall from treble to bass. But then when you got to the 811E, boy, did that make a huge difference. I mean, it was all sorts of warm. You got the high and the low that Rosewood is famous for, that singer-songwriter tone with that scooped mid. I have to say I am a little bit biased. The 811E is one of my favorite guitars that we make, period. I love the way that guitar sounds. But you really heard the difference, I feel, even more so than with the GS Mini-e Koa and the K21E. I think you heard a much bigger difference between the Rosewood Mini and the 811E personally. So for me, obviously 811E wins, and the difference in sound between those two is it's much wider. It's much wider. But that's not taking anything away from the Mini, because the Mini Rosewood, again, sounded very balanced. So I really dig that aspect of it.
Aspect. Ryan?
Do we have to have a winner here? I think that, it goes
Chicken
back to
dinner. No.
just having the differences in this more clearly. With the first round, we had Koa tops in both of those guitars, and I think that kept the difference between the two guitars a little closer, though they were quite different. Here, what you're seeing is the Rosewood back and sides, the natural Rosewood back and sides really perform and be what Rosewood can do, what Rosewood can do. There was great clarity in that GS Mini, and as a tool, it's just so functional. Then you bring in solid wood, the larger scale, the darker, richer sound of natural rosewood on that Sitka spruce top, and that's where radical might be a word over violent, but it was more keeping the love alive.
Mike, you get to say whatever you want to say. You're Mike.
But and like I said, both I could see using in a variety of different matters. Just like Mike, I'm a huge fan of the 811. I think that it plays great. It's so easy to play, very fast, and just a wonderful tone out of that guitar.
Andy Lund.
The Violent Aspects can be another good band name from tonight's show. Ryan makes an awesome point. You know, you've got 3 of the main parts of the engine being solid wood in the 811, and 1 in the GS Mini, right? You've got layered wood back and sides versus in a solid top. So of course it sounds rich. But you know what? On that little demonstration, I liked. If we have to pick a winner, I just like the way that Mini sounded right off the bat. Like it just
recorded well.
It sounded good, and I think we all know what's going to happen when we listen to these. But I liked that. It was a good sound to my ear.
Mm-hmm.
So a few minutes ago, I saw a comic go by about what the signal chain was for recording this. We're just using a single Neumann mic on on the guitar, and then the slightest bit of compression, nothing over it. It's mainly just a master compression, so a little bit of limiter, right, and then compression on there. But there's almost no sauce, as they would say in the studio. I like them both for different reasons. That 811 is absolutely magical. You've heard me say it in the past. I've put that in the hands of many artists, and I think the best compliment we got on that guitar was Andy Hull from Manchester Orchestra once said, after playing that guitar by himself on a solo show in front of thousands of people, he said that was the most comfortable 90 minutes I've ever had with an acoustic guitar in my hand. So they do sing, but that GS Mini, man, is that a weapon. Mm-hmm. That is just something you need to have. So let's go right into the fingerstyle playthrough so that we can hear them really back to back. Fingerstyle playthrough. Ryan, you go.
You know, the 811, just the range of sound coming out of that from bass to highs, really, it just jumped out of the guitar between the two. Great sound in both, and very functional. I think one of the things that we were pointing out earlier is that the GS Mini can play is a bit stiffer, and you can hit it a little heavier because it's medium gauge strings on that guitar, at least from the factory, and so you're gonna have a thicker string and a bit more density there, and so the fingerstyle playing in that, I don't know if that specifically relates to what we just heard, but I was particularly noticing how the range of sound in that 811 just jumped right into that microphone.
You muted, Jay.
I muted because they were working in here and there was noise. I apologize. It's something to be said that these guitars are completely different monsters. again, back to if you're just joining the show, we're doing this showdown or this face-off just based on questions that we receive all the time. Our service department, why'd you make this? What's the difference? Who, why didn't you just make a gloss GS Mini or an all solid wood GS Mini? Well, the geometry just doesn't work the way Andy wants it, right? We got to spend some time with Andy last week, and right, Mike, and it's when you sit in a room with Andy and you just hear him talk about all this stuff, there's so much thought that is put into these guitar designs. And way back when we launched this GT shape, we have that on video of Bob saying it is the best guitar geometry he's ever seen. Interesting. Bob helped build this company. He designed all these instruments before Andy got here. He's pretty darn good builder, right? And to hear him say this is the best geometry I've ever heard in an acoustic flat top guitar, that's spectacular. So, yeah, Ryan, they're just apples and pineapples, like we heard earlier, right?
I'm glad that we're doing this because you're right. There is a lot of questions when you see them hanging on the wall. And so to be able to demonstrate the difference and say, hey, these are both really good guitars, but this is the why behind the time into a new model and a new body shape and creating the background to build those guitars. It's a great demonstration.
I love it. Andy Lund, how do you feel?
Before I forget, I'm remembering something that when the GT shape was first introduced, one thing that Bob said and helps people to understand is that he experienced the same thing when once he had made the baby Taylor, he tried to make it better. And he wanted it to be, he experimented with different thicknesses, different bracing, but then he came to realize that it couldn't do any more being the size that it was, right? So that's kind of the same exact thing that Andy Powers discovered when he was trying to improve upon the GS Mini. Why don't you just make it solid? Well, it's not enough of a change. And that's exactly what you're saying, Jay, limited by geometry and by size. So, I thought, first of all, when I was listening to him play, Daniel play, I was like, it shows you how much the hands have to do with the sound, right?
So it goes back to that bone tone, right?
Well,
the player.
That guy, those notes are all in tune. Everything he's played tonight is in tune, and that's not easy to do, and especially like on that last example where you've got some open strings, you got that open G ringing against the fretted note on the low string. He's a really good player, and we can talk about all the things that make our guitars different, and the reason why you pay more for an all solid wood guitar made in the USA. But boy, a lot of it has to do with hands. So I was just reminded of that.
Yeah, Mike, how do you feel about
them? These two, the way that I heard it, and I have a little asterisk to go along with that when I'm done. The way that I heard it with these two, they were more similar tonally, but what I heard out of the 811E was far more maturity. That really, it was far more mature and realized of a sound overall. It was definitely like, you have, the college graduate in the GS Mini, and then you have the doctorate, in the GT, in the GT 811E. Now, that, like Andy said, playing like that and nailing those notes is hard. Okay. But what playing with your hands also does is it warms up things too, because you don't have that pick attack. If you're playing with the pads of your fingers, it's going to get warmer. So that also made it a little bit less different in that sense, though the overall tonality of the 811E, again, sounded more mature. Now, I think Phil had said earlier that he thought the GS Mini was a bit clearer to his ears in that particular case.
Yeah.
And I get that, because that guitar played with your fingers is going to be, just by the sheer geometry of the guitar, the way it's created, the way it's made, the strings, it's going to be brighter, a little more articulate than the 811E. But what the 811E did was give you more of a blended full tone overall. So it might be a hint less articulate. It's also, and we talk about this all the time with these comparisons, depending on what you're listening to it through. If you're listening to it through studio monitors, if you're listening to it through different style of headphones, like these headphones are DJ headphones. Ryan's listening through AirPods. And you guys are listening through what's probably more like studio style headphones. So they're all going to give you a little bit of a different response overall. If you're listening to it if you're watching the show on your iPhone or your iPad or your computer, it's going to give you a bit of a different response overall.
Right.
This is why we encourage you going out and trying different things. But, this is just what we're hearing under these conditions. So
yeah,
that's my 2 cents.
And interestingly, another step to that, or another thing that you have to think of, is a guitar is going to sound a lot different here than it is going to sound here. Right. So the way that the C class projects, it might, at the end of the day, most of us just sit on the couch and play guitar, right? Or we play at campfires, or we do, is what it is. All these things, tone is subjective, sound is subjective, things are going to sound better to your ears, and that's great. And all of it is great.
And that's why we have Taylor has so many options available. Are you playing at home? Are you, I've always been a big fan of a mahogany sound because it's more porous and I'm playing in my room or not live. And then when you're performing, a Rosewood guitar is great. There are guitars to rule them all, but at the same time, that is why there are options, Sergio.
Hey, I think we should have Sergio on the show.
Was Sergio even born when the Commodore 64 was out?
No, definitely not.
He wasn't. I'm pretty sure he wasn't.
Sergio wasn't born at this time, but Sergio is like the best. We were talking about this earlier. Like, he's the most incredible audience avatar for a guitar manufacturer. This dude, I'm telling you a story about Sergio right now. Sergio works with us, ladies and gentlemen. Sergio bought a PRS Silver Sky, sold it, and then 12 and a half minutes later bought the same guitar with a different fingerboard on it because he liked the fingerboard better. Sergio knows what he's talking about buying guitars.
He's got the gas.
He's got the
Commodore
gas.
64. He's a funny guy over here.
You didn't get it from me, Sergio. I had sold it long before you were born.
Hey, Jay, I have actually a kind of a real world experience with the GT that I would like to share, if that's okay.
I love it, Andy.
Okay. So I had written this little bit on the guitar that the melody, I can't really play it yet, so cut me some slack here, but the melody goes. Okay. So I had that, and then I actually wrote it on a GT, right? And when I went to try to play that on other guitars, I couldn't do it. And the reason is because the size of this guitar allows me to hammer on, but the way I want it to sound is like this. Oh, sorry. Like hammer-ons and pull-offs, right? Right, that's how I want it to sound in my head, but I can't do it on other guitars because it's way up here. So I was trying to play it on the nylon string guitar, and I can't. It sounds to me so much better, like instead of, right, which is a little choppy. And I don't know, it's a little thing, but the actual size of this guitar allows me to play it, allows me to voice it with hammer-ons and pull-offs that I can't do on some of my other instruments.
The GT is definitely easier to play than a lot of, and the size of my hands, the GT is easier to play than the GS Mini.
Yeah,
there's that, right? Not that I have the biggest hands in the world, but they're not small either. So I find that I like little guitars. I'm a big giant guy. I like little guitars, and that the GT, there's just something about it that just fits. It works. I can get the parts and write the parts that I like on that GT.
You know, internally, I mean, you know, I don't know if we've talked about this on the show before. We have names for different things internally as we're creating something, and this was Project Goldilocks. You know, it's not too big, it's not too small, it's just right. You know, and it really does fit that violent aspect.
The violent aspect. So that's it as far as this showdown is concerned. I would love if you guys, if you have questions in the feed. We haven't really done a Q&A in quite a while, so if you want to throw some questions our way, we'll get those answered for you. And then we're going to let you go a little bit earlier tonight because LeBron James might hit 36 points tonight.
You got to do 2 minutes of sports then.
Yeah, we got to do 2 minutes of sports. So we got 2 minutes of sports. We got some Q&A from the feed. We do have Evan's questions tonight. He brought a Padres hat to the game. He's pretty jazzed over here on that. We'll talk about that at sports time. All right. So questions. Play. Can you play the demo of the GTE Mahogany from the No, you know what? I can't, Phil, because it takes a specific format, but we will do that one. I'll play that in an upcoming show. What? I just wish there was a No. No. Daria. No.
No, like it would look like a crescent moon at that point.
It would look like a Okay. Longer scale. Which one has a longer scale?
The GT is longer scale than the GS Mini.
Do you know the actual measurements?
24 and an eighth
versus 23 and a half.
Gotcha. This is a great question. Does anyone know why there are no grand auditoriums in the American Dream line?
Because we haven't made it yet.
It just started as the Grand Pacific originally. We moved into the Grand Concert, so and just now with the GT. So I think it just I would characterize it as a matter of time more than a decision.
Yep,
I would probably think that there probably won't be a cutaway. Maybe there will, but we'll see about that. Cutaways, Daria and her cutaways. Favorite strings for the GS Mini?
I just go with what we use, you know, set of 13s. It just, when you go with a shorter scale instrument and then you put light strings on it, they tend to get a lot more floppy. So it's a little bit harder to control in the sense of when you're fretting the instrument and keeping it intonated. You know, especially when Danielle was playing, when he was playing fingerstyle, if he had 12s on the GS Mini, that might be way, way too soft of a gauge in that scale length to A, get the top to resonate, and B, to keep pitch. So I prefer the 13s. In fact, for years, when I worked for a tailor dealership, you know, and these came out, I had no idea there were 13s on them. It didn't feel like it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know, and that's because of that truncated scale length, having those thicker strings on it. But it makes a lot of sense to have that on there.
Violently truncated.
Violently truncated. They open up for violent aspect.
Jason has a question for us. Which will each of you tell us your favorite? So we're talking about the 4 guitars that were played tonight. Andy, go.
The first the K21
Overall.
Yeah.
Of all the instruments. Wow. Okay. Mike Venezia.
811E. Love it.
Okay. Ryan.
I'm also going to say the 811E, being somebody that's owned a prototype walnut top GS Mini for years, something that it's one of my favorite guitars, but of what is playing, Andy's putting it right into his camera right there. That 811 is just wicked. Can't believe I just said wicked.
I know. It's like you're
wicked aspect
from Worcester, Mass, bro.
It's wicked, eh?
Worcester. Anyway, I'm gonna say I have a two-part answer. Two-part because I will let you know that the K21 is my favorite Koa guitar that we make. Hands down, it is my favorite Koa guitar that we make. However, I will also go with the 811 for the overall winner for this one. I think for me, my style, my ears, it's just what I like the best.
Yeah.
All right. Who else do we got? AD14E would be sweet.
That would be wicked.
That would be Worcester, Mass. I like that.
Wicked
Distributed out of
Lodge.
Boston, exclusively out of Boston.
GT spruce with walnut back and sides. That exists.
That exists.
That now exists. Yes.
That now exists.
AD11E Sunburst.
Mm-hmm.
AD11E Sunburst and the AD11E Blacktop.
Let's see. There's the 8012 behind me right there.
AD12. Okay. All right. I'd kind of like to hear Daria Musk play a GT even without a cutaway. Okay, we'll have her back on the show. She's pretty good at that.
Is that one of Daria's friends?
Maybe. Maybe not.
He is now.
Oh, you can hear it. That's right. Daria's right. We actually have a video that we did where I blindly sent a bunch of GTs to Ram and Daria and said, just make something. Open it up and create a piece of music. And that's what they did. It's a really clever piece of video work. All right. Those are the questions. We're done with the questions. It's time to move on to the next segment. We do not have Lindsay tonight, so we're not doing Lindsay's question. But we are doing 2 minutes of sports and trivia. Who's excited for that? Me.
Woo.
Andy, do you have a 2 minutes of sports song?
I do. It's not a Brown song, but as you know, Jay, the baseball season is coming around.
I know. We're talking about that. We're going to talk about that.
All right, good.
Yeah.
Hear the roar of the crowd. Soon they'll be screaming loud. The crack of the bat, a tip of the hat. Overpriced beers making you fat. A dog with the works, a pitcher's quirks. Ballpark perks, that's where it's at. 2 minutes of sports.
What does your hat say?
It says Dallas Mavericks.
Hey.
Well, you told me you're going to wear the Lakers hat. I'm like, well, I'm going to wear a Dallas Mavericks hat. Well, because they got Kyrie Irving.
I know
I don't have a Dallas Mavericks hat, and therefore I just took a Cubs hat and put a piece of paper on it.
It's going to be awesome because LeBron has so much hate in the league that everybody's going to try and stop anything that he does. And this dude in his 20th season is just going to school everybody. It's going to be hilarious. Hey, welcome to the game, Yankees. A little late. Been a while since you won a World Series. What? Sorry.
How long has it been since the Lakers won a World Series? Oh, wait.
It's been a minute.
It's been a minute. Okay, so that's that. LeBron James, I'm really excited about this. I'm excited as a fan for basketball, but let's be real. The most important time of the year is here.
Here we go.
Pitchers and catchers. Oh, someone said go Birds over here. You didn't say go Birds. Speaking of this, go Eagles. Did you hear? I read an article earlier that people in Philly at jury duty for the past few days, instead of saying present when their name has been called, they say go Birds. That's going to be good. There's a super game happening soon. Anyway, baseball's back. Ryan, your Padres. How are you feeling what do you think about the Padres this year?
Lifelong Padre fan. As I've said, you all know my first job was as a peanut Cracker Jack vendor at Jack Murphy Stadium. I love going to baseball games. 100,000 people came out for Padre Fest this weekend. The enthusiasm here is fun, and nothing is better than when, and it's rare, but when the Padres are good, the city comes out, and it's going to be a really fun season. Loaded team. We'll just see how somebody will screw it up, and hang tight to see where that comes from.
I agree. wholeheartedly with you. It's really fun to see, and this is coming from a Giants fan. It's really fun. The buzz in the city right now for baseball is fantastic. Before we talk about the Yankees, though, we're going to talk about this. I agree with you, David. Go Lions next
All right.
year.
Yep.
We might win 10 games. I'm excited about that.
Hey, if they have a good draft, they're playoff bound.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting next year. Mike, how do you feel about your Yankees? And do you think, can we put some money on the line right now? Will it be Padres-Yankees World Series?
Not again.
You know, it's well.
He
First
says
off,
that as if they lose everything. What?
Well, first off, I have to say hello to our friend Paul Tobias, because this hat, I was with Paul when I bought this hat. The one time I've been to Wrigley Field was with Mr. Paulie T. So that hat has some great meaning. Could it be Yankees, San Diego Padres? It could. I was really hoping it would happen last year.
Came close.
But you know, look, let's if you look at the off seasons, I think the Padres have done better than the Yankees in the offseason. Yankees signed a couple of people. They kept Aaron Judge, which was needed. They absolutely needed to keep Aaron Judge. Otherwise, there would have been revolt in New York City.
Speaking of the Giants.
Yeah, large people, very tall giants. And so it was important for the Yankees to keep him just for PR, even if he has a terrible season. It doesn't matter. They needed to keep him. I don't know. I'm going to be honest. I really don't know. Do I, go Phillies? Yeah. I mean, could they make it back? Sure. I think the Mets actually have a leg up on a lot of other people now by signing Justin Verlander alone. And actually by not signing Carlos Correa was actually better for them in the long run, because it's more money to spread around for other players that they actually need. So I don't know. It's going to be, an interesting season.
It's hard to talk about this right now.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a little interesting. I work pretty closely with the Padres. This is like 14 minutes of sports, but we'll wrap it up in a minute. But and I went there, and often every year they donate a bunch of clothing or sweatshirts, T-shirts, and stuff like that to local charities and stuff. And every once in a while, I get a call, and it's like, hey, I got a bunch of boxes of stuff if you guys want to raffle this stuff off at the factory. And we do that. So I go down there, excuse me. And as I was sitting there, we were talking about how Aaron Judge went to San Francisco. And truth be told, they're like, he was never in San Francisco. He was actually here at Petco Park, and the press was pushing it as if he was in San Francisco. So word on the street is he got an offer from the Padres and picked up the phone and called the Yankees and said, all right, this is what they're offering. Call us back.
Who didn't get an offer from the Padres this offseason? I mean,
yeah.
I got an offer from the Padres.
Yeah.
I got an offer from the Padres.
I'm going to learn how to throw left-handed just so I can have a chance,
I know. Fantastic. I'm excited for you, Ryan. I'm also excited for you, Mike, but I would say I loved this. Len said go Phillies. I love the Phillies a little, that. So
they're looking good.
Baseball is going to be awesome. Baseball and guitars, it's going to be great. Andy, I know you really are into this baseball thing. How do you feel about it all?
I am a Chicago sports fan. I grew up, as diehard Bears, Cubs, Blackhawks. But I have to say that I've been to more ball games at Petco because of the time that I lived in San Diego, and I became a fan. So I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence between the two. I'd love to see the Padres take it all.
It's hard for me to say. It's hard for me to say that because of I truly love the Giants, but I'm going to pull for the Padres if the Giants don't make it that far.
Come with us, Jay. Come on in.
And again, David, with the
Go
Heat,
Tigers in 10 years.
I think the Tigers, man, the Tigers did the greatest thing ever, and they fired Al Avila. Oh, boy. Here we go. That's all we got. That's what we did in the off. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. We got a little trivia right now.
Do they have baseball in the North Woods? That is a really good question.
Of course.
They do, but we can't
That's
really.
cool.
It's close proximity.
Yeah.
All right. So we have Evan's question. This is how this works. You guys know this. The Primetime at Taylor Guitars email is working again. So if you answer the question first in the feed, we'll put your answer up. Just send us an email at primetime@taylorguitars.com with your t-shirt size, and we will get you a nice little prize pack. All right. The question for tonight is a good one. All right. It is a name that tune, if you will, or name that tonewood question. But I'm going to post the question. You guys answer it. The rules are Gabe O'Brien, Paul Tobias, and Evan Smith are not allowed to answer the
Lemon
question.
Grove.
Lemon Grove. Here we go. 1974. And the question is right there. Name the tonewoods used for the first models of the GS Mini and the GT.
Who will answer Evan's cue? You, maybe it is you. Paul and Gabe won't answer, even if they knew. Who will answer Evan's cue?
Oh, come on. Look at him. What are the tonewoods? Do we have it?
We're getting
Not
close.
seen it. Yeah.
It's
Not
close.
seen it yet.
Somebody has half of it.
So you got to do the top wood and the back and sides. Top
Of
wood
both.
and back and sides. Yeah.
Of each.
Top wood
each
and back
one.
and sides of each one. Because they're really close.
Just send me the t-shirt.
All right. All right.
Okay.
All right. Paul, we'll send you a t-shirt.
Nope.
Getting,
A lot of
Man,
answers,
this is a good
but
question, Evan.
this is a good one.
we're getting. Ah, we got a winner.
We do.
We got a winner.
Sambo?
That's-
Yep.
Boom. Sapele spruce, urban ash spruce. Sambo
Who's the winner?
76. You are the jam. Eric, now they're all coming in. There you go.
That's what I
Everybody
said.
looked it up.
Yeah, that's what
I didn't know how to spell Sapelli.
that's what Google looked like. All right, good job, Sambo76. Throw us an email at primetime@taylorguitars.com and we will get you your prize. Yes, the GS Mini was spruce and layered sapele, and the GT was spruce and urban ash. Good work. All right, that's it. We're going to wrap this show. Next week, we have a very, 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 very special guest. We understand that it is Valentine's Day. We understand that some of you may or may not be watching this show. You could get your loved ones in the same room and watch the show together because it'll be exciting. It is going to be a pre-recorded episode because we have a very, very special guest who's going to come play some music for us in a studio, and it's going to be awesome. We're really excited about that. The week following is going to be Gabe O'Brien. That show was actually going to happen tonight, but Gabe isn't feeling 100%, so we gave him the night off. So in a couple of weeks, we're going to come back and talk about diving into the ins and outs of the ES2 and other acoustic guitar pickups. So we're really excited about that. Ladies and gentlemen, it's always fun to hang out with you guys. We appreciate your time. We appreciate you showing up. It's sometimes unbelievable that all of these people take this time to spend with us on Tuesday nights. We know there is a bunch of there's a bunch of other things to watch on TV tonight, including LeBron James, maybe a State of the Union. Hopefully you DVR'd something. So thank you all for hanging out with us. We appreciate you. And Andy, you want to take it away?
Yes, sir.
Joe, Beyonce would be amazing. Do you think she would join the show?
Yes.
Mike, make some calls.
Okay.
It's only worth an ask. Beyonce, will you be on Primetime? What
Queen?
if she said yes?
Queen, will you be on the No, you're busy. All right. Just call me back. No, yeah, I'll put a ring on it. Okay, thanks.
Yeah. What? Hold on real quick. Jay, hold on. Wait, what? Yeah. Oh, it's Jay-Z. Oh, tell your friend Mike to stop. Okay. Yes.
She
Mr.
called
Z.
me, Jay. She called me.
All right, Andy, take it away.
What was it? What was it? It was prime time. It was prime time. What the heck was it? Well, that was prime time. Now you know about GS Minis and a little about GT shapes. Koa, Rosewood, and Sitka. 2 good hands is all it takes. Maturity, depth, and projection all have a special space. Watch out for the violent aspects when it all comes down to taste. Things you learn on Prime Time on Tuesdays. See you next week, everybody. We won't see you because we won't be here live, but we'll know that you're watching because we always do on Prime Time.